This is the front microphone with the double mic switched to front mode only. This is the rear microphone with the double mic switched to rear microphone only. This is the front microphone with the double mic switched to front and rear. This is the rear microphone with the double mic switched to front and rear. This is the front microphone 180 degrees off axis with the double mic switched to front mode only. A while ago I did a favourable review of this. This is the Movo VXR10 Pro shotgun mic. This is a tiny shotgun mic for vlogging use, any kind of portable camera. If you one-man operation stuff, you stick this on top of the camera. This is super lightweight on a Rycote shock mount. Absolutely great product. It does, however, have one limitation, and that's because as a kind of one-man operation here, I often want people to hear what I'm saying, but also hear what's on the shot. And this obviously doesn't allow for that. So I do end up actually flipping the microphone and sometimes using it this way around on the camera and then flipping it around and using it that way. Just depends on which one's going to give me the best results at the time. So standard limitation for any kind of microphone, I guess, particularly a super-cardioid polar pattern mic, i.e. a shotgun mic. So what are we going to do about that? Well, we're going to bring in this little thing. This is the DoubleMic from Movo. So this is a new mic that they've come out with. They've sent me this for review. So I have to stress that all opinions are entirely my own, but the idea here is that this is effectively two microphones back to back. You have two mics in one and you can decide which one you're going to use. And it comes in one of these little hard shell cases. Can be useful, but I've so far found that with the VXR10 Pro, this thing is tough enough to just chuck in a bag as it is. Small, it's lightweight. These Rycote shock mounts are indestructible. Honestly, I don't know what plastic they use in these, but they're great. But if you like to have cases for all your stuff, this comes in a nice hard shell case. We've got our two little dead cats in there. Here it is, the Movo DoubleMic. And you can see that you've got one mic on that side, and then you've got the mic that the camera person can be using at the same time. And these are switchable at the top here. So you've got two uses for this cable. This is a TRRS cable, a standard. You can't change that. Oops, you can't see that quite there. It's a TRRS cable, and therefore you've got a switch that determines, are you connecting this to a smartphone or are you connecting this to something like a DSLR or other type of camera. And then we've got a switch there that says just use the front mic, use the front and the rear mic, and use the rear mic. Very tidy, all metal construction again, as you would expect from the Movo products, but clearly marked out there, front mic, rear mic. A reasonable length cable, perfectly big enough for any kind of small camera. And then you do have headphone monitoring as well, but be aware, as I mentioned on the review of the VXR10 Pro, headphone monitoring only works when the app, one, it only works on the smartphone, and two, it only works on a smartphone where the software, i.e. the app you're using, is looping the audio back through the TRRS and back to this headphone. So to be honest, for proper camera use, you're not going to need this and you're not going to use this. These are tiny, aren't they? Wow, these are tiny little baby things. All right, so that would fit over the top like this. And because we don't have a big tube down the mic, you don't need to cover too much with this windscreen. That's how this is designed to be used on your camera. I would use this on my old AX53. This would be the camera that would be the camera that I would be recording on, but I imagine many of you out there will be recording on something much, much more recent. A Sony Alpha camera of some description, or cameras similar to that. This mic is going to be perfect for something like that. I think the most important thing now is, how does this microphone sound? Well, let's try it. I It's quite a windy day today, actually, so I'm going to try this inside and outside. But let's give you a couple of audio tests on this microphone. So this is the Movo DoubleMic, and this is what the audio sounds like. I'm recording this now on the AX53 camera, and I'm about 30 centimeters away from the microphone, so you get a good idea here of how it sounds. But let's rotate the microphone round, because at the moment I'm just using it on the front microphone, so this is just the single mic setup, if you like. So I'm just going to rotate my little mini desktop tripod around here, and you can see that that's how this sounds from 90 degrees, and then that's how this sounds from the rear. So I'm about 30 centimeters still from the mic, just from the rear, back to 90 degrees, and now back to the front again. Okay, so we're now switched into front and rear mode, and I'm interested to know how this sounds just from the front, because of course there's the potential now that sound will bounce off the wall over there, come back in and be picked up on the rear microphone. So just a little example, I could be talking about something like this, and of course you want to hear what's on the speaker. So if I want to demonstrate something to you about the speaker, you want to be able to hear both. It might be a bit loud on the speaker side. So I can carry on talking about the speaker, showing you round and saying, yes, this is a Bluetooth speaker, la-di-da, it's a waterproof Bluetooth speaker, etc., etc., and you can still hear the audio on the speaker. But let's see what happens now, because I'm recording my voice on the rear microphone. What happens if I actually switch it to just rear? Okay, so I'm now recording just on the rear microphone, so let's try playing the speaker again. Nothing's changed volume-wise. Probably is a better volume maybe, but you won't be able to hear it as clearly, I imagine. And now I'll switch just to front. And we're now on just the front microphone. So this is the Movo DoubleMic with no wind protection at all. So although it's not really windy at all, there you go. Oh no, there's a bit, it's okay. Should be able to tell the difference between the two. I've actually fitted it to both the front and the rear, but I suppose technically it only needs to go on the one if I'm using the one. I imagine that if it's only switched to the one, the rear one is completely turned off. So this is the alternative use. This is now using the rear microphone, with the idea being, of course, that I'm the camera operator, so I can film and talk at the same time without being separately mic'd, without having any kind of lav mic, mixing the channels or whatever. It just merges it all down into one mono channel. And I could have someone else in front of the camera as well talking with me. And that is the entire point of the DoubleMic. Honestly though, this thing is so straightforward to use. It adds no weight at all to the camera, particularly a camera like this, which is relatively heavy anyway. And from what I can tell so far, I haven't really listened to the audio clips yet, but from what I can tell so far, it completely solves the problem that I was, that I hoped it would. So there we go, the Movo DoubleMic. A couple of audio tests there, a bit of playing around with the microphone. Hope you found that useful, and as always, an audio test right at the start of the video, just a quick one in this case. So what about the pros and cons of the mic itself? Well, firstly, value. These things are always really reasonable from Movo, but you're getting great quality as well. So you're not having to pay that premium price of the likes of an NTG3 shotgun mic or a Sennheiser shotgun mic or whatever. You're getting something really portable, really lightweight, really nicely built as well. And let's talk about the audio quality, because that's most important, right? these two mics sound great. They are up to the usual standard of Movo mics. The ones I've tested in the past, they've always been good. In fact, they've always been surprisingly good. When you put them side by side with much more expensive gear, it gets pretty difficult to tell them apart in many cases. So yeah, in many senses, you can't go too wrong with this microphone. If you want a mic that you want to use and be able to switch it between front and rear very, very simply without having to physically take it off the camera, this is perfect for that. And it's also, as I say, incredibly small, incredibly lightweight. You can easily stick it on top of a Sony sort of mirrorless camera or a GoPro or something like that. Now, let's talk about the bad sides of it. Firstly, the wind protection isn't that good. I put the dead cats over the mics to test it in it wasn't really a particularly windy day, but I still heard a lot of noise coming through there on the actual audio track. I was fairly surprised by that. Maybe, as I do with the VXR10 Pro, you're supposed to use the foam as well. When I was out and about, I couldn't put the foam on and fit the dead cats over the foam, whereas I can do that with the VXR10 Pro. I can pull the dead cat over the top of the foam, and that gives it an extra layer of protection. So maybe I should have persevered a little bit more, and you're supposed to do that to get that extra protection. But there's a lot less space for it to cover, because it can only cover up to here on this side because of the switches, and it can only cover up to here on this side because of the cable, which of course can't be removed. That's another little niggle of mine. But so wind protection, not quite up to the standards that I would have expected from Movo. Secondly, yeah, the cable can't be pulled out, and I can see why they've done it. It's a bit awkward having a socket for the headphone there, and then there's no real way to do it, is there? Because you'd have to have another socket and they'd have to cross, and just design wise, I think it's just going to be impossible for them to put a way of having a cable that you can plug in and take out again. And really the only other thing that I don't like about this mic is, well, some of you may have noticed it on that first audio test I did there. This is the rear microphone with the DoubleMic switched to front and rear. This is the front microphone 180 degrees off axis with the DoubleMic switched to front mode only. On the rear mic, so the rear mic when set to front and rear on this mic, it just sounds like the front mic 180 degrees off axis. Well, that's not very good, is it? Because that's what you get with an off-axis mic is a really sort of roomy, all you're picking up is the ambience of the room, basically. You're losing that really nice direct sound of the microphone, and it's just a sort of echoey, reverby sort of sound. It just doesn't sound nice. It's also often quite dull as well. And the only reason I can think for this, I contacted Movo about this and sort of sent them an audio file and said, is this meant to be like this? Is this just a problem with my mic, or is this kind of how it's meant to be? And the only response I got back really from them was saying that the rear microphone is much lower in level. And I understand that. I get that, because if you're using the rear microphone and you're holding a camera like this, say, you're only going to be maybe this far away from it. But that's pretty much how far I was in that test that I did. So, well, I did say that, but anyway. So I'm assuming it's exactly how the mic's meant to work, and here's the reason I think it works that way. Basically, this front mic is some degree higher level. It's more sensitive than the rear mic. So if I've got, say, a peaking level of minus 10 dB into the front mic, let's just say, if I were to go 180 degrees off axis with the front mic, that level then drops to about, I don't know, let's say you can take 15 dB off it or 20 dB off it, something like that. So we're going from minus 10, maybe down to minus 25 or minus 30 dB. However, the rear mic is really, really low in level. So what you're getting on the rear mic is a level that is essentially matching the off-axis level of the front mic. And that's no good, is it? I mean, because the two are just mixing into one channel then, because you can't split the channels out on this. You can't say put the rear mic into the left channel, put the front mic into the right mic channel. If you could do that, that would be perfect. This would be a perfect product if you could do that. Well, except for the wind protection and stuff. But you can't do that. So you're left merging those two together, which creates some weird kind of phasing issues and general kind of Well, what am I listening to here? Am I listening to the rear mic or am I listening to the front mic off axis? So, well, maybe get closer to the rear mic then. Well, that's not going to work because then you're just going to get more level from the front mic as well. So it definitely has its use, but it also has its niggles as well. Other than that, great quality, really good build quality. If you're happy with that little kind of problem, go for it. If not, maybe it's not for you. Hope you found that useful. I will, as always, put product links down in the description. If you'd like to support the channel, please do click on those for this mic or anything else you want to buy on Amazon. It's always appreciated, but you don't have to. It's entirely up to you. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up or subscribe to the channel, all the usual stuff. Thank you for watching and speak to you soon.